Coming off the success of the Pursuit paddles, Engage introduces a new lineup to the market. The Omega line utilizes the same design and innovation from Engage, but at a more intermediate price point. The Engage Omega Evolution Pro comes in weighing about 8.25 ounces. It is built with a HoldTEK polymer honeycomb core and an extreme grit textured friction-based fiberglass hitting surface. This paddle is a bit elongated compared to most, featuring a 16.5-inch length, a 7.5-inch width, and a core thickness of 16 millimeters. Put that all together and you're left with monster spin and enhanced feel without sacrificing too much power. As a player who uses Engage paddles, I was excited about this play test. On paper, specs similar to what I'm used to, but it played noticeably different. I love the grip size on this paddle. It's nice and thick. I felt like I was getting a lot of stability on my shots. There was a ton of spin with this hitting surface. I felt like I was getting a lot of grip on the ball, especially if I was doing whippy, snappy shots at the net, trying to get it past my opponents and into the baseline. The elongated length was nice. I felt like I had good reach on shots where I was pushed out wide. And on dinks, it was nice because I had a lot of feel. I could put the ball where I wanted to. Doing the short swing was easy to maneuver. On serves, I noticed I had to put a bit more behind the ball just to get it where I wanted in the court. When I was at the baseline and I was doing long strokes and really swinging the paddle through the air, that's where I noticed it kind of felt a bit clunky for me. But at the net is really where I felt like it shined on my dinks. It had a smaller sweet spot than what I'm used to, and I felt like when I was hitting outside of that sweet spot, it was super noticeable in terms of a reduction in power. In fact, that was probably the biggest thing for this play test with me, was it was a small sweet spot and it was really unforgiving when hitting outside of that sweet spot. Overall, this paddle had plenty of spin and a good amount of feel, but it just wasn't something that I could ultimately get comfortable with.
I am almost as happy to talk about this new paddle from Engage as I am playing with it. I'll start with all the boxes that were checked in the positives. I'm not going to say they made this paddle for me, but it's got the longer than 16 inches length. That's a big plus for me. It's got a longer than 5.5-inch handle. That is definitely a big plus as well. 16 millimeter core. And if you're comparing this paddle maybe to one of my other favorites, which would be an Engage Pursuit MX 6.0, I'm going to say this is a little softer paddle, a little lower powered, a little more control oriented, and it's a little quieter. Particularly the non-6.0s are returning more energy, so it's more of a raw power kind of a paddle, where this kind of let me be me a little bit more. I felt like I was really getting some serve action, lots of spin, lots of depth on the serve. And I just felt like I couldn't really make a lot of mistakes. I would almost call this a no excuse paddle. I'm always looking for some excuse, why I'm not playing the way I want to. This paddle basically just checked all the boxes, dotted all the I's, crossed the T's. One of my favorite paddles. I never went back to my old paddle while I was testing this one. Definitely one I'd consider switching to.
I was super excited to hear that we were play testing this paddle today. This one really compares to the MX 6.0 in the Pursuit line that I use. That 16 millimeter core that this paddle offers gives me a lot of control and placement on my shots. Compared with that textured surface, it allows me to get a lot of spin and I can pinpoint each shot that I make. The 5 5/8 handle length that this paddle offers really allows me to get two hands on my backhand and rip that ball from the baseline. On my serves, I was really surprised how deep I was able to get that shot. It really helped me push my opponent back, so I was able to set up for a good point. At the kitchen line, I was really able to maneuver this paddle around easily on my high volleys and overheads. That fiberglass surface really allowed me to get some pop on my volleys and put away any high shots. The one thing I wasn't too big of a fan with was that smaller sweet spot. If I hit the ball off center a little bit, it fluttered in my hand. It wasn't too stable, but when I did hit in that sweet spot, the ball came off perfectly. Overall, if I were to choose between this and my current paddle, the MX 6.0, I would go with the Pursuit MX 6.0. That more premium feel was more comfortable with me. I was able to get a little more power and spin and control. Otherwise, this paddle is great for intermediate players or people getting into the game.
If you're looking to get your feet wet in the Engage family of paddles, the Omega Evolution Pro is a demo away. Check it out at TotalPickleball.com.